When we became conscious, deliberate stewards, this changed everything. Now, a technical term in my earlier work, which I now harness for pretty heavy lifting in this book, is the idea of a free-floating rationale. This is the reason something happens where the agents in particular don't have to understand it. One of the most vivid and moving cases is actually the cuckoo chick. When cuckoos, you know, they're parasites. The cuckoos do not make their own nests. The mother cuckoo, the female, when she's ready to lay her eggs, she finds a host nest of another species and waits for the female to lay the eggs in that nest. Then when the parents are off getting more twigs or feeding or something, she darts down, lays her egg in the host nest, and then very often she'll push one of the other eggs out. That's just in case the hosts can count. And then she flies away, never returns, never has anything more to do with her egg. The cuckoos tend to hatch quicker than other birds, not surprisingly. And the first thing that baby cuckoo does, it can't see, it's featherless, it's this scrawny little fledgling. When it gets out of the egg, the first thing it does is this: it wrestles around the other eggs and tries to push them out of the nest. And if you've ever seen the video of it, it's absolutely blood-curdling to watch this eggicide happening. Yeah. I don't know what you... Ovicide? Now, you know, that sweet little cuckoo chick, it doesn't understand what it's doing. It doesn't have to understand the rationale. The rationale is there. We all know why it's happening. We know what the reason is for this, but it's not a reason that the cuckoo has to understand or appreciate. It doesn't have to represent that reason. It just has to have enough control in it so that it accomplishes this task for whatever reason it doesn't have to know. That's what I call a free-floating rationale. And of course, in the case of Dicrocelium dendriticum, we had another nice example of that, because the Dicrocelium dendriticum, it doesn't understand what it's doing when it crawls into that ant's brain. It's, I would say, has an IQ approximately that of a carrot. You know? It doesn't need to think it out. It just has to be designed to be the beneficiary. In organized religion, though, things start to change, because now the question of who benefits falls under the tracking of an entirely different set of processes, because now we get a shift from free-floating rationales to represented rationales. Represented where? In the minds of particular human beings, in the minds of the domesticators, in the minds of the priests and the rabbis and the imams and the religious leaders of all kinds. They start tinkering. They become mimetic engineers and re-engineers. They become like the methodical breeders of animals and plants. And now a whole new set of selection pressures arises. The rationales of the stewards are responsive to other goals that evolution by natural selection without human stewards are not responsive to. And that does change everything. I'm going to give you just a few examples of the adaptations of organized religion that you don't find in wild religions, in folk religions, and that play a big role in the elegance of design of contemporary religion. And perhaps the most central and important is what I call belief in belief. Now, some people believe in God. Many people believe in God. Some people believe in belief in God. That's different. If you believe in belief in God, it's because you think belief in God is a really good thing. Gee, I wish everybody did. I wish more people did. Belief in God is a wonderful thing. That's what it is to believe in belief in God. Now, that's different, right, from believing in God. Now, interestingly enough, more people believe in belief in God than believe in God. How do I know that? Well, think about it. With very few exceptions, if you believe in God, you also believe in belief in God. There may be a few people who deeply regret their belief in God. You know? Just, gosh, I wish I didn't believe in God. I wish nobody did. You know? Can't get this darn belief out of me. There probably are a few. I'm sure there are a few. But in general, they're rare. Most people who believe in God also believe in God. They think it's just wonderful. But then there's all the people who've lost their faith or never had it in the first place, but who nevertheless, for one reason or another, believe in the belief in God. They think it's really, really important. They hope they can recover their belief in God. They try to spread belief in God. So now the question is, how many more? And here, it's almost impossible to say. Why? Because in organized religion, unlike folk religions, every major organized religion has managed to evolve its creeds and its behaviors in such a way that there's almost nothing you could do that would manifest belief in God as opposed to belief in God. What you do if you believe in God is you say you believe in God. And you tithe, and you go to church, and you pray. That's what you do if you believe in God. So it's become very difficult to say who actually believes in God. Now, sometimes this is just very obvious. How many senators and congressmen do you think really believe in God? They all say they do. They all do whatever they can to make sure that you think that they believe in God. But come on, we know better. Now, there's another case where the switch of platforms hurts us. Doggone it. Well, that's not quite right. This formula. I don't know what it means, but I believe it's true. Michael's laptop doesn't have the same font or something. This is actually a sentence in Turkish. Or it was before Michael's laptop scrambled it a little bit. And it really doesn't make any difference. See, here's what I did. I asked a trusted Turkish colleague to give me a true sentence of Turkish and not tell me what it meant. So he did, and I trust him. And I'll bet $1,000 it's a true sentence of Turkish. And I have no idea what it means. I know nothing about what topic it's on. All I know is it's true. So I don't believe it. I just believe that the formula, whatever it is, expresses the truth. There's nothing mysterious about being in that circumstance. I've just explained how easy it is to get yourself into that circumstance if you want to. Sometimes you get into that circumstance, not because you want to, but because you can't do better. Now let's look at another sentence. E equals mc squared. How many of you believe it? Yeah, right. How many of you really understand it? You know, I do pretty well. You know, I know how to do the algebraic manipulations. But I dare say a physicist here could write a little multiple choice exam for me, a devious, devilish multiple choice exam, which I would betray my incomprehension of some of the fine points of this. That's what good multiple choice exams can do. So I semi-understand this. But I believe it's true. Now, what a wonderful thing language permits us to do. It permits us to have a division of labor, or rather, you can put it sort of comically by saying, leave the believing to us lay people and leave the understanding to the scientists. Which isn't quite right, because we don't so much believe as just believe that the proposition is true, whatever it is. Our belief in two is more like our belief in one than we might like to admit sometimes, but that's okay. Even within science, it's quite possible for scientists to use a formula every day in their work and, you know, not really be in full control of what it means. There's people down the hall that know what it believes. They don't have to. That is a legitimate and acceptable division of labor. By the way, I had a funny experience. I gave a version of this talk just a week ago, about a little bit more than a week ago, at Fermilab outside Chicago. In a room